explain a very important article from IBM, which is called zeroshot. It is an open source framework for zero-shot name entity recognition and relation extraction. So this article in 2023, and this is a positive sample. The motivation is that the zero-shot learning task pertains to the identification of entities or relations in text that were not seen during training. Zero-shot learning has emerged as a critical research area due to scarcity of labeled data in specific domains, and its applications have grown significantly in recent years. The hidden complexity in running name entity recognition or relation extraction experiments in zero-shot learning context, and the lack of shared framework and API to describe inputs and outputs of such models hampers the reproducibility of many approaches, as well as the ability of the search community to evaluate new models against strong baselines under the same experimental conditions. So the idea is that if we consider NER, including classification and linking, and relation extraction, recent zero-shot learning methods leverage textual descriptions of entities or relations as additional information to perform their task. This additional input allows models to recognize previously unseen entities or relations in text based on the provided descriptions. So entity descriptions are valuable, so we can leverage them for our zero-shot learning. Leveraging entity descriptions, the model is able to disambiguate between the mentions of the term apple, which could indicate a mention of the homonymous company or the fruit, despite having been trained only on two nodes classes. By projecting each token in the latent space of pre-trained language model, the semantic distance between the label or description of a class and each token in a sentence can be used as a method assign tokens to a certain entity. For example, here it's a zero-shot name entity recognition. The model is able to differentiate between two unseen relations. So the contributions of this important paper from IBM is that standardization and modularization, zero-shot standardizes and modularizes the NER and relation extraction task, providing an easy to use and customized API for these models. Unification of name entity recognition and relation extraction, and their framework is compatible with spaCy, and there is another thing, size spaCy, so they're compatible with those things that we like. And evaluation, because provides an easy to use and extend evaluation frame for different models. Because people want to compare with the state-of-the-art models, so we should be on the same ground. And the visualization has been done using this software, and the ensemble pipeline, and it's open source as well. The open source community can customize and extend. You can extend your zero-shot by adding it to the model. So the pipeline configuration starts with this. For example, you say some entity, you add some entity along with the description, another entity along with the description, and you define your own linker. So I mean, the software architecture of these are very interesting. It's the least amount of thing. It reduces all redundancies that you always do. So we just we load the spaCy, we load this NLP model, and then we introduce our configuration, and we say these are our relations and their descriptions, and that's it. Then we add zero-shot pipeline with the configuration that I defined in the previous lecture, and after inference we get that if for this text what is the NLP of that, then it gives you, it renders, and we understand the relations. So we can also extend using an inherit from mentions extractor. So it's just it's very, you just define your own class and add it to the pipeline, so everything is nice. And this is an example of bias of linker model. For example, a person who writes computer programs, and the definition of a homemaker is that a person who spends their time looking, so there could be some bias. And this is another example, by the way, that a list of two different descriptions of the entity fruits. We have our linker and we add it to the pipeline, and this is our test sentence. So we love spacey, that's why we want everything to be in harmony with that. So figure 2, this figure, that first we do mention detection, then entity linking, and then relation extraction. So we also do, I have a playlist for entity linking, about 10 papers in this area. So entity linking is typically, it's just mention detection together with entity disambiguation. So this is a kind of pipeline that they use, but some people use them jointly. It depends on you. And the interesting thing is that in IBM company, they use this as a pipeline just as an input for relation extraction. So they use those entities as a way to understand what relation could be used. But I can give you some examples that this pipeline does not even work. Because finding those relations, finding those entities in your database does not tell anything about the relation, unless you have a good context representation. Yeah, in that case, it works. So mention detection is a task that consists in identifying spans of text that may contain entities in a defined set of. So if you watch my playlist for entity linking, you will see all of these things. But nowadays we use zero-shot learning for entity linking because not only type description are available, for example, in biomedical text we use UMLS, and also another good API for mesh, and many other things. So we have type descriptions. What else do we have? We have entity descriptions. And for relation extraction, we have relation descriptions. So zero-shot learning is, we can mix all of these information to have a better algorithm. Because the more information you add, it becomes more expressive. And entity classification is the process of identifying the type of a given mention in the text. And you know about entity linking if you watch my playlist for entity linking. And so in their framework, I mean, the IBM framework, they use those entity linking as an input to relation extraction. So it's a pipeline. And entity linking by itself is, you can train mention detection as well as disambiguity removal from mentions, mention disambiguity removal, combine them, and then the output goes to relation extraction.